Hello and welcome into the Total Quality Management and Economic. In this lecture, I'll talking about the good laboratory personnel performance. personnel اللي هي هنا بيتكلم عن الشخص الشغال كيف يكون جود أو أعمل له تهيئة أو هيئه للعمل داخل المؤسسة وأطور من الشخص الشغال بحيث أنه يؤدي لك مهام تكون متناسبة حسب السكيلز والكرايتيريا حقتهم. إذا إن reception good performance information sample collection adhere to safety policies يعني يكون مستمع للبوليسيز أو السياسات wearing to the lab coat wearing gloves face mask protective shoes and eye glasses handling of specimen in a proper manner infection يعني البرفورمانس او الاداء بتاع الشخص بتاعنا في اللابراتوري عاوزين يكون اوير انه كيف يستقبل العينة حقتنا الانفورميشن بتاعتها ومعلومات عنها ويكون سيفتي يكون ملتزم بالبيرسونال بروتكتيف equipment زي اللاب كوت والجلوفز والفيس ماسك والبروتكتيف شوز and اي كلاس ويكون اما الهاندلنج او يمنع السبريد اوف انفكشوس ماتيريال من اللاب. Serious dealing with the injuries flow SOPs strictly. SOPs هي اختصار ل اللي هي Standard Operating Procedures يكون متبع الطرق المثلى أو البروسيدرز المثلى في أداء المهام. Good communication skills, response to evaluation, educationally competent and have good background in test performance and reporting results. يعني عاوزين الحاجات دي كلها تكون موجودة في اللابوراتوري performance أو الشخص الشغال في المعمل من استقبال العينة ويكون يحافظ على روحه بالpersonal protective equipment وكيف يعمل رن للسامبلز ويمنع الانتشار الانفكشوس بمعنى انه يعمل كنترول للويست او الميديكال ويست ويتبع الاس او بيز الستاندرد اوبريتنج بروسيدر ويكون جود كوميونيكيشن سكيلز مع الستاف الشغال وريسبونس تو ايفالويشن ويكون عنده القابليه انه نعمل له ايفالويشن تقييم كل فتره والتانيه ويكون educationally competent and good background to test performance and reporting results. Personnel management role in quality management system. Personnel are the most important laboratory resource critical to the implementation of the quality management system are people who possess integrity, recognize an importance of their work, and participate in continuous improvement. Laboratorians an important partner in the health care. يعني هنا في البيرسونيل في جزء مهم جدا انه في البيرسونيل انه يكون عنده هاي كواليتي وانتجريتي وريكوجنايز و important in the work practice ويقدم لي laboratorian important partner in the health care هو شريك مهم جدا في العملية الصحية. Recruiting and retaining qualified staff is essential to laboratory quality. Failure to check the education, qualification and references for a new here can be lead to problem in the future. As a laboratory director, it is important to hire an appropriate number of staff to cover workload, verify the item on the job application are correct, develop complete and thorough job description for each employee, training each employee in their specific duties, provide orientation for new employee. يعني دي واحدة من المهام تاع الدايركتور في اللابراتوري. طبعا زي ما قسمنا انه عندنا مهام ادارية داخل المختبر وفي ناس اداريين داخل المختبر من ضمنهم هو الدايركتور والدايركتور اللي هو المدير بيكون يوفر لنا أول من الحاجات المهمة جدا أنه يوفر لي الأبروبرت إستاف، والعدد بتاعهم يكون متناسب، ويكون في وصف وظيفي لكل الإستاف اللي تم تعيينهم، ويتم تدريب الإستاف الشغال، ويوريهم أو يعمل لهم اورينتيشن للحتة الشغالين فيها أو اللابراتوري، يعمل لهم demonstrations للأجهزة الموجودة وأنواعها وطريقة التعامل معها. إذا دي كلها من المهام بتاعت الدايركتور قصاد الاستاف الشغال. كذلك conduct and record competency assessments in all personnel. It is a management responsibility to verify that the trained employees are sufficient competent to do their work. Provide opportunities for continuing education, new techniques or updates for existing methods can be introduced using counting education courses. Conduct annual employee performance appraisals. إذا دي كلها من المهام حق الدايركتور قصاد الاستاف الشغال. As a quality manager, المدير الناجح أو الجيد is necessary to provide employee with orientation and training, check track of employee records and make sure they're confident, include policies relevant to personnel in the quality manual. إذن دي كلها من ال good quality manager يوفر لي الحاجات دي للإمبلوي orientation، يوريهم الحتة الشغالين فيها بتفاصيلها، ويعمل على تدريب الإمبلوي الناس الشغالين، ويكون عنده ريكوردز أو فايلات موجودة لكل الإمبلوي، وتكون الحاجة دي confidential سرية، ويكتب عليهم التقارير من ناحية الأداء، ويوريهم البوليسيز أو السياسات حقت المختبر ويمشوا عليها البيرسونيل ديل، ويكون عنده كواليتي مانيوال. طيب as a laboratorian بالنسبة للإمبولي أو الشخص الشغال عنده مهام. It is important to participate in training and continuing education opportunities, request training that may be needs as job responsibilities increase, maintain record of personal professional development. إذا دي كلها من الحاجات المهمة اللي بيوفر لها اللابراتوريان، عندهم يكون ويل تريننج، يستجيب ليه للتدريب وللتعليم والاحتياجات حقت المنظمة أو المعمل الشغال فيه، ويكون ويل تريننج يخضع لأي تدريب وتأهيل، ويحافظ على الريسبونسبيلتيز اللي هي حقته داخل المختبر. طيب importance of motivation. Success or failure depend on the knowledge and skills of the people in the laboratory and their commitment and motivation to perform tasks as described in the job description. يعني يؤدي نفس المهام الموجودة في الوصف الوظيفي حقه. Motivated employees are more likely to be committed to their work. Elements of motivation vary from different people. Some people respond to considerate rewards such as bonus and prize. Some people respond best to flexible work schedules that fit their responsibilities to the home and children. Most people respond to recognition and feeling that they are integral part of the healthcare team. The manager can motivate the team by emphasizing that everyone's job is important, whether it is performing testing, collecting specimen, making reagent, or managing the laboratory. Personnel of staff. Migration and turnover of staff have been described as a major challenge in many countries. Apart from economic factors, that lack of a good working environment and improper management practice can be contribute to loss of staff. A good personnel management program can be contribute to the retention of staff. طيب نيجي للجزء الخاص بالorientation. Orientation is the process of introducing a new staff member to the new work environment and to their specific task of duties. يعني شنو orientation أو عمل orientation للشخص الشغال أو الستاف؟ الorientation هو مجرد ما يجينا employee جديد أو شخص تم تعيينه جديد، فعاوز توريه بيئة العمل أو ما يحيط بالعمل حقه، فبتوريه المنطقة اللي هيشتغل فيها والإستاف اللي هيكونوا شغالين معاه والبيئة اللي حواليه حقة المعمل وطريقة العمل والمهام حقته أو الديوتيز حقته داخل المؤسسة، دي بيسميها بالأورينتيشن. Nothing is more frustrating of the employee that or than not knowing where to find necessary resources. Orientation is different from training. Orientation of laboratory personnel should be include the following aspects. General orientation, a tutor of the workplace when and introduced to the all management of the staff information about two how the organization fit into medical community and the public health system, key personnel and lines of authority, the laboratory interaction with both users and customers of the laboratory, the policies and procedures regarding facilities and safety. Personnel policies 3 اللي هي فيها ethics, confidentiality, employee benefits, work schedule. An employee handbook that outlines the 4 policies for the organization and information about the laboratory quality system. A copy of the employee's job description and a 5 deleted review and its contents. An overview of standard operating procedure SOPs. Checklist that address each aspect of the orientation is important, and this is the number 7. Ask employee to initiate and date the checklist to document decision of each topic. Personnel resources or records. Policy medical laboratory should maintain employee records that contain information integrated to their laboratory related work. Keep record of position held and dates for each of these positions. This information is important for calculating employee benefits. All terms and conditions of employment should be a part of the personnel record. What personnel information that the laboratory maintain many or may differ in different regions and settings. While a complete list of information may be include the following, some parts of not be required in all regions and all settings. Employee details, original or original application and resume. Test the employee is authorized to perform, condition of continue employment, job description, both original and subsequent competency assessment, continue education programs attended, personal action, corrective, disciplinary, leave records. Health information include records of work energy and exposure to occupational hazards, vaccine status, skin tests if any, performance appraisals, emergency contact information. إذا الحاجات دي كلها هي المفروض تكون موجودة في الريكورد أو في الفايل بتاع الامبلوي. The personnel file should be kept in a secure site to protect confidentiality. يعني الفايل بتاعه ده لازم يكون محفوظ في منطقة سرية عشان نحفظ الخاصية أو الخصوصية حقت الشخص الشغال. Not all information need to be maintained with the laboratory office. Some institutions maintain human resources or personnel departments that may be responsible for employee record. Consider what is essential to be maintained in the laboratory itself, such as emergency contact information or job description. A performance appraisal. It is a planned motivational management tool used to evaluate an employee on the job behavior and to determine compensation, training needs, and career decisions. The appraisal should include clearly defined expectations and valid and fair performance assessment and documentation and follow-up of a plan for improvement. The performance of all employees of a laboratory must be assessed regularly to ensure and record that everybody performs according to the expectation. This way, also potential problems are detected in the early stage, preventing bigger problems later on. Perform performance appraisal of all laboratory employees at least once per 2 years, but preferable more often. A performance appraisal is a broader than a competency assessment and involve not. طيب زي ما ذكرنا عنه ال performance appraisal in is a broader than competency assessment and involve not only assessment of technical competency but also observation of adherence of the staff members to staff rules, punctuality, adherence to policy, communication skills include communication to customers and professional behavior. Laboratory manager write on SOPs, my meaning standard operating procedure, on conducting performance appraisal following the protocol on writing a procedure SOPs in the master SOPs and use the template for procedure SOPs attached to the master SOPs. Also develop standardized form for recording the finding on the performance appraisal. This ensures that nothing is forgotten during the assessments. Add this form as appendix to the SOPs. Perform performance appraisal for all staff members according to the procedure describing in the SOPs. Record the finding of the performance appraisal and discuss this with the staff member that was assessed. Keep it in mind that this is done in a typical way to staff members maybe find it difficult to deal with criticism. The goal of this conversation is to find the root cause behind performance problems. Note that root cause of poor performance may not always be related to the staff member, but may be related to how things are organized or to poor quality SOPs. Develop together with the staff member a good approach to eliminate the root cause and improve performance. Make reports of the finding of the assessments and conclusion of discussion of these findings. Describe both positive and negative finding and the root causes of the negative finding. Describe the strategy to eliminate the root cause of poor performance. If training needs were identified, find an appropriate training and search for funds to send this staff member to describe it or to desire it. Training, store the report of performance appraisal in the person file of the staff member. Formal appraisal should be performed by training individuals to ensure that evaluations are non-discriminatory and confidential since they are discoverable in a court of law. Appraisals are generally position specific and competency based using a training or using rating system to measure the employee performance. Certified laboratory must be according to the Clinical Laboratory Improvement Act in 1919, Syria 88. Should documented evidence of performance appraisal and semi-annual competency assessment of pre-analytical, analytical, and post-analytical. All this process as well as the following implementation of a new method or experiment. Performance benefit, encourage interactive communication, provide constructive feedback, encourage employee to attend organizational and personal goals, provide job fulfillment. Formal and informal appraisal. There are two types of appraisal, formal and informal. The latter are useful for opening canals of communication, recognizing accomplishments, monitoring behavioral modification, and attainment of goals set during the formal appraisal process, and providing positive reinforcement as soon as possible after behavior occurs. Frequent information interview or informal interviews provide ongoing support to aid in the employee and accomplishing their goals. Formal performance appraisal are generally designed by the upper management and supervisory level personnel with input from the staff employee. They must be legally definable and applied fairly and equitably since appraisal are discoverable or discoverable in a court of law. Element of performance appraisal. The evaluator should be properly trained to perform a successful appraisal. They also need to be in a position that will allow direct observation of employee work performance. Formal appraisal generally are scheduled either on the employee's university date of employment or in larger organizations at a set time annually. Appraisal should be well planned, carefully executed, and both the appraiser and employee should prepare for the interview. The employee should be provided with يعني حاجات المفروض تكون محتوى أو مما بها الامبولي أو الشخص اللي هنجيبه للعمل. A mission statement highlighting the organizational philosophy. Job description defining the job responsibilities and outlining the skills and essential function inherited in a particular job, list of performance standards that are specific, realistic, measurable, and ensure accountability. A job description provides employee with a list of predefined expansions of skills required for the position. Any skill list as required must be valid and defensible. Performance standard provide employee with feedback on how their work compares to the predefined expectations list in the job description. Method to assess performance: 1. Numeric ranking scale, usually 1 to 5. 2. Check list of positive and negative job behaviors. 3. Peer to peer, team or team to team, or 360-degree evaluation. All these are about the method of assessment of the performance. This is the end of this lecture, and thank you very much.